For the 20th century and 21st century, oil has been one of the most useful and necessary minerals of mankind. It is difficult to imagine the modern world economy without minerals such as oil and gas. The high demand for these energy resources brings huge profits to the oil companies. Hey everybody, thanks for watching, and in this video we're going to learn about oil. Today almost all moving, flying or floating vehicles run on the fuels comes from petroleum. The heat source, electricity, food, clothing or other household items we use, all created using oil and petroleum products. It is rightly the most important source of our modern development. Archaeological excavations have shown that the oil has been known to mankind since ancient times. It is said that the oil and its mixtures were used as binder in construction 6000 BC. In ancient Egypt, oil was used in construction and embalming of the dead body. The first oil well was built by the Chinese in the 4th century AD. Another interesting use of oil that it was the Greek fire, which is the Byzantine Empire used as the weapon because it was extremely difficult to distinguish the fire. In the 19th century, when it became clear that the kerosene could be extracted from oil, much attention was paid to it. This was demonstrated in practice by the owners of the Russian plant, the brothers Dubinin, and in the United States, the chemist Benjamin Silliman. In mid-19th century, high demanding for oil saved the lives of whales. You know how? At that time, whale oil was an invaluable product from which candles, medicines, cosmetics, and most importantly, all lighting lamps were lit with this oil. That is why whales could be hunted to an unprecedented extent and even cause them to become extinct. Fortunately, in the 1950s, result of the reprocessing oil produced cheap and safe kerosene. Exactly because of kerosene, the use of the whale oil was stopped and the whale population was preserved. But there is another side of coin. Oil spills are the major environmental disaster and the invasion of wildlife. One drop of oil pollutes 25 liters of drinking water, and oil spilled on the ocean is an environmental disaster. The fact is that the oil touches the feathers of birds or the sweat of mammals, forming a layer that prevents air from trapping between feathers and the wool. Animals that do not retain heat die from the cold. The oil also forms a layer on the surface of the water. This layer is impermeable to air and creates vacuum for living things in the area. There is a definition in the research of the famous Jacques Cousteau. As a result of the presence of petroleum products in seawater just for 20 years has led to extinction of 40% of the living organisms. Today, there are two popular hypotheses about the origin of oil in nature. Proponents of these two are against each other in the world of science. These are the theory of organic or biogenic formation and the theory of inorganic or abiogenic formation. The first theory is the biogenic oil was formed as a result of the decay of millions of species of flora and fauna over millions of years. This assumption was made by the world's famous Russian scientist Mikhail Lomonosov. If we take this assumption as a basis, humanity's potential for this natural resource is tragic. The reason is that the amount of oil extracted by mankind is much greater than the amount created by nature. Therefore, this mineral remains an unrestorable resource. Proponents of this theory claim that the black gold reserves will be depleted in the near future and the alternative source of energy will be needed for the humanity. Unlike the first theory, the second theory is more optimistic. This theory is called abiogenic. This assumption was first made by the Russian scientist Dmitry Mendeleev. During a visit to Baku, Mendeleev met a famous geologist of the time. Based on the research of this geologist, he determined the largest oil reserves are usually located in the cracks and fissures of the Earth's crust. And based on this information, Dmitry Mendeleev developed a theory of the origin of oil in nature. According to this hypothesis, groundwater penetrates to the bottom of Earth in cracked and broken places, where it reacts with the alloys of the metals and carbides. It is the result of this process that the formation of hydrocarbons takes place. Over the time, the liquid rises through the same fracture places and turns into the oil and gas field. The importance of this theory is that according to Mendeleev, this process takes up to 10 or 20 years. If we believe this hypothesis, we can say that the hydrocarbon reserves of our civilization will last for many centuries. Because if we don't use that the currently oil fields for a while, they will be slowly restored. However, it should be noted that to date, no scientist has been able to produce any drop of oil in organic way in the laboratory. Therefore, this assumption raises great doubts. Why oil is measured in barrels, not liters, and why it is called barrel? It is very simple. Word comes from English. The history of barrel began in 1866 in the United States. Several entrepreneurs were coming together to sell oil. In order to save on the cost of transporting the oil from the one place to another, they buy 42-gallon or 159-liter barrels, which were previously used for oil, wine, and liquids. According to accounts, the dimensions were the most convenient size for loading on railway wagons. Over the time, 159-liter capacity was approved as the common unit for measuring oil. It is well known that the gasoline, fuel oil, and motor oil are made from oil, but that's not the end of the benefits of oil. Let's find out how many essential products can be produced from a barrel of oil. As a result of the refining process, 1 barrel of oil will increase to 9 liters and produce 168 liters of finished oil products. So 1 barrel of oil can produce 85 liters of gasoline, which is enough to about 1,000 km for the average car. 25 liters of diesel and can be enough for 70 km on tractor. 20.7 liter aviation fuel. For the American Boeing 747, it's not even enough for 2-kilometer flight. The oil refining process produces 9 liters of petroleum gas, 8 liters of petroleum coke from recycled secondary oil and petroleum products. It is used in electrodes as well as the anti-corrosion equipment and for recovery for solvents. 5.6 liters of fuel oil, which is used as fuel for locomotives and electric generators, as well as for heating homes. 4.5 liters of liquefied gas, which is used in heating equipment and motor fuel. It is also possible to produce 1.5 kilogram of briquettes of coal and 1 liter of motor oil from 1 barrel of oil. Chemical oil products are widely used in the production of pharmaceutical, cosmetics, and food, and for the most popular material of the 21st century, the plastic. Today the world economy is built almost entirely on the oil, because oil is not the only part of the world's transportation system, but also part of the chemicals we consume on a daily basis. Therefore, changes in the price of the oil affect the world economy and thus the lives of each of us.